Welcome back to Jersey Matters. We continue our conversation now with Chrissy Buetas, who is the Chief Government Affairs Officer for the NJBIA. We talked about the governor's speech. The Senate President, Steve Sweeney, had his own speech at Monmouth University, and he called for something that I think that the NJBIA is going to agree with. He wants to transform the pension fund into a 401k system. Do it slowly. If you're in the system, you just got in the system the last 5 years, you'd go to a 401k. How much would that help the state?
Well, I applaud again the Senate President for putting some proposals on the table and for convening his tax group to look at different ways to solve some of the challenges that have been plaguing the state's budget, and as I referenced earlier. On the specific proposals, again, I think we want to see what they look like and when they're formally put into legislation.
But in theory, you're for this, right?
In theory, we're for changes that would certainly try to address some of the state's fiscal challenges. So certainly something we will explore with our membership, and then we'll be weighing in accordingly. Because
when I've talked to the NJBIA in the past about this, they were effusively for going to a 401k system. Has that changed?
No, not at all. Again, I think it's something we have supported in the past, something we'll certainly look at, again, when the bill is put into or introduced, and we'll be commenting on that forward.
You don't want to comment right now on it?
Well, again, I think that we have been, very clear on supporting initiatives to move us into a 401k system. But again, look forward to working with the Senate President on the particular piece of legislation.
Okay, and so you're worried again, just like with the governor, you're worried about the details.
We just want to be, working with the Senate President on the initiative.
What you're supporting and not supporting before you start talking about it. When it comes to the possible ban on plastics, plastic straws and plastic bags in the state of New Jersey, which sounds like that's where we're going. You have some real concerns about that.
Yeah, so NJBIA testified in opposition to the legislation that would ban not only plastic bags, single-use plastic bags, polystyrene, and plastic straws. And again, the reason is around, what we want to acknowledge, first of all, that we're sympathetic to the environmental concerns. I think that everybody's on the same page with that. We're not quite certain that the ban is the way to achieve that objective. And what I mean by that is that there are other countries around the world that are contributing a lot more than the United States to this issue. We also have our companies already paying into the Clean Communities Fund and also doing incredible recycling efforts. And we also have to acknowledge, as was stated at the hearing, that these products play a critical role in the safety of our lifestyle and the way we do things, whether it's, packaging, meats and vegetables and, being available for consumers to use, whether they have a disability and they need, to utilize a plastic straw. So I just think that a conversation with the business community, environmental groups, and our policymakers is really critical before we just do an all-out ban.
I didn't realize, and I learned this from you in reading about your testimony, I didn't realize that 18,000 jobs in the state depend on the plastic industry. Also, though, you said you acknowledge the environmental impact.
Absolutely.
But it sounds like you question the environmental impact, that not enough study has been done.
Well, what we would like to see is the DEP to do a study on this and then convene all of the stakeholders together to figure out what is the best way if the concern is litter, what is the best way to combat litter? Because that is a human nature challenge. Right? Is it that folks are not recycling? And so if that's the case, what can we do to ramp up our recycling efforts in the state? I like to reference quite a bit that when I was in school, we used to talk a lot about reduce, reuse, recycle. And so I'm not hearing as much about that anymore. So is there an effort that we need to do to re-educate the public on the importance of recycling?
Kind of giving up on human behavior. If we're not dealing with human behavior, we're dealing with what's happening.
Exactly.
One last thing, and this is about, and it's pretty important. There's a bill going through the Assembly that would change the way that lawsuits can happen against businesses, and it's called the Good Faith, Bad Faith Bill. Could you explain what that is and your concerns about it?
Sure. So the business industry is really concerned that a lawsuit could just be brought against any company. And again, where our concerns are is that premiums could increase for our employers. And again, one of the top issues for our members is, increased insurance costs across the board. And so what we don't want to see is lawsuits just being filed. And if there is an issue, there are remedies to go about it through the Department of Banking and Insurance currently. And so if there's an outlier case right now, we just hope that it would be dealt with. This is an across the board change in public policy.
And the Assembly is considering a bill that would basically make it so it's not as easy to dispose of frivolous lawsuits.
Correct.
Thank you.
Thank you, Larry.
I really appreciate it. Nice meeting you, and
Nice meeting you.
congratulations. Chrissy Buetas is the Chief Government Affairs Officer for the New Jersey Business and Industry Association. Jersey Matters is coming back right after this. Still to come on Jersey Matters, a new hotline is open for victims of priest abuse. We'll tell you about it and take you there when Jersey Matters continues.